You see them pop up all over the state this time of year, and while they can be beautiful, the Callery pear tree is an invasive species, and it chokes out plants that naturally grow here in Kansas.
Yeah, they look good, but we're just talking they stink.
I think they're pretty.
They are pretty. 12 News reporter Cale Chapman explains how the state is stepping in to protect native plants with a tree quarantine to stop the spread.
Callery or Bradford pear trees are a favorite for people trying to spruce up their front lawn, but the Kansas Department of Agriculture is trying to stop their spread.
We are trying to reduce the amount of spread and further infestation by creating the quarantine.
The quarantine will start in 2027 and prohibit people from moving the trees around or into Kansas.
Nobody is required to cut down these trees that they already have growing in their yards or landscapes, but we do highly recommend that they do.
Marsh says most tree nurseries already don't sell Callery pears anymore, and by 2027, no nursery in Kansas should have them for sale. The reason for the quarantine is because the trees are invasive.
It can change our habitat in quite a few ways, either by displacing some of our more desirable trees or by shading areas where other sun-loving perennials and grasses might be able to grow.
Matthew McKernan with the K-State Research and Extension Office says it's important to protect native plants because they keep the rest of the habitat alive.
It's important that we try to maintain and protect some of that biodiversity in our plant material in order to support greater biodiversity in animals and insects especially.
McKernan says the best time to identify your Bradford pears is right now because they're blooming. Once you know how many you have, you can find a management style that makes sure they don't spread where they aren't wanted. In Wichita, Cale Chapman, 12 News.
Marsh says there's potential for a Callery pear buyback program to be started in Sedgwick County, similar to how Shawnee and Johnson County have started programs replacing the pear trees with native trees when people cut them down.